We humans, we're explorers at heart. It's in our DNA. We have this deep, primal need to see what's over the next hill. But what happens when, all of a sudden, the entire world is told to stay home? Today, we're going to unpack the incredible story of virtual tourism, an idea that went from sci-fi fantasy to an absolute necessity almost overnight.
Okay, just take a second to let this number sink in. In 2020, the number of people traveling internationally dropped by 74%. That's not a small dip. We're talking about 1 billion fewer travelers than the year before. An entire global industry, one that so many economies depend on, just stopped.
So that's the big question, right? What happens when the world stops moving? It created this huge hole, not just in our economies, but in our collective spirit. But moments of intense pressure can also create diamonds. And as we're about to see, this massive disruption forced a wave of digital innovation that changed everything.
Right, so let's set the scene. The world on pause. We're curious creatures by nature. We want to see new things, experience different cultures, have new adventures. And in 2020, that fundamental part of who we are was put on an indefinite hold.
The crisis wasn't just about the economic losses. It was the fear, the anxiety, the social disruption. But right in the middle of all that uncertainty, technology gave us a lifeline. Virtual tourism popped up as this really powerful alternative, not just to give us a little preview of places we wanted to go, but to actually help satisfy that deep-seated curiosity right from our living rooms.
And with the whole world basically at a standstill, virtual tourism really stepped into the spotlight. It became our escape hatch from isolation. It was a way to explore the planet when our own front doors were closed. It was, for all intents and purposes, the digital answer to our very human need to wander. So, what even is virtual tourism? Well, at its heart, it's pretty simple. It's about experiencing a place without, actually being there. And the simplest version of this could just be watching a video of some beautiful destination on your phone or your computer. It engages your eyes and your ears and lets you visit pretty much any corner of the globe, often using a device you already carry around with you every day. Now, here's where the tech gets really cool, and it's something people mix up all the time: AR versus VR. Let's clear this up. Augmented reality, or AR, adds a digital layer on top of the real world. But virtual reality, VR, that's totally different. It builds a completely new computer-generated world around you. So one enhances the reality you're in, and the other one replaces it entirely. And while you might think this all just exploded out of nowhere during the pandemic, the truth is, this has been building for years. The interest in virtual tourism was already on a steep upward curve. I mean, look at the research. We went from only 10 academic articles on the topic in the year 2000 to almost 400 in 2021. The pandemic didn't start the fire, it just poured a whole lot of gasoline on it. So what is the actual technology behind the trip? We're going to break down the key pieces of tech that are making this all happen. And here's the surprising part. The most important tool isn't some futuristic, expensive headset. It's probably in your hand or in your pocket right now. That's right, we're talking about the smartphone. We tend to picture these big, bulky VR goggles, but honestly, the real driver of this entire revolution is the phone. It's gone from just being a gadget we talk on to an absolutely essential, almost habitual part of how we experience travel today. I mean, just think about what your phone does when you travel. It gives you personalized information instantly. It's your map. It's your direct line to millions of reviews. It's your camera. And now it's becoming your window into augmented reality. It literally shapes what we do, how we feel, and where we decide to go. It's like the Swiss Army knife for the 21st century traveler. Now, one of the most powerful things our phones give us access to is something researchers call electronic word of mouth, or EWM. Basically, it's the entire universe of online reviews, blog posts, and social media shares. The opinions and experiences of total strangers now have this massive influence on our travel plans. It builds trust and sets our expectations long before we ever step on a plane. So let's make this feel real for a second. Imagine you're standing in front of an ancient ruin. With an AR app, you could just point your phone's camera at it, and boom,
On your screen, you see it digitally rebuilt to what it looked like in its prime. You could see old photos pop up, get historical facts. It transforms a pile of old stones into a living, breathing history lesson.
But here's the thing. This shift is so much bigger than just our individual experiences. All of this data we're creating, where we go, what we search for, what we review, is being used to build what they call smart tourism ecosystems. And this is where big data enters the picture. And here's a really cool, practical example of that. By crunching massive amounts of data in real time, tourist destinations can actually predict where and when big crowds are going to show up. This lets them manage the flow of people better. Maybe they even ping your phone with a notification suggesting you check out this amazing hidden gem just around the corner that isn't so packed. It just makes the whole experience better for everybody.
So, what does this all add up to? The key takeaway here is that this isn't just some temporary band-aid for a world that was on lockdown. No way. This is a fundamental change in the travel industry itself. So let's look at the forces that are really driving this new reality and what it could mean for the future of how we explore.
What we're seeing is this incredible mix of powerful forces coming together. Technology is obviously the engine here, but sustainability is a huge piece of the puzzle too, since virtual options can seriously reduce our environmental footprint. And what's really cool is this idea of co-creation, where we, the tourists, are actively helping to build our own experiences. But maybe the most important part of all is accessibility. This tech is opening up the world to people who, for physical or financial reasons, couldn't travel before.
And to show you that this isn't just some fleeting trend, listen to this. This quote comes from a research paper published all the way back in 2012. It says the phone has evolved from a gadget for communication to habitual needs in tourism. How wild is that? They were calling this more than a decade ago. The pandemic just made that reality crystal clear to the rest of the world.
And that all leads us to one final, really interesting question to chew on. We've seen how virtual tools can be a substitute for travel, but we've also seen how they can make real travel even better. The future probably isn't an either-or situation. It's likely going to be a seamless blend of the two. So think about it. What will your next great adventure look like? Will it be real, virtual, or some amazing combination of both? Thanks for digging into this with me.